Welcome to NFT Nation, the most relatable and reliable NFT and crypto podcast in the nation. I'm your host, Michael Wheeler, here with my co-host, Alex Ferguson.
What's going on, guys?
And in today's episode, we will be explaining what the upcoming Ethereum 2.0 is and our personal opinions on what this means for the crypto community as a whole.
But before we start, we'd like to say that everything mentioned in this podcast are taking personal opinions from us and is not meant to be taken in kind of any financial way. So by saying that, let's start getting in the episode. So, Michael, what is Ethereum 1.0? I mean, if we see Ethereum 2.0 coming out, what's Ethereum 1?
So pretty much, just like you said, to understand what Ethereum 2.0 is, you have to understand what the current status of Ethereum is. And pretty much there's two major blockchains that currently are running Ethereum. And the first one is the mainnet, which is the main blockchain. And this is where the current form of Ethereum is. Like, this is the current form of Ethereum that we all understand, like all the NFTs that are sold on Ethereum, all the just like trading and buying and selling. This is the main Ethereum blockchain that uses the proof of work model, like similar to Bitcoin. And then we have something that the Ethereum Foundation is working on called the Beacon chain. And this is a side chain. And this side chain is pretty new. It came out in December 2020. And this allows a little bit of a proof of stake model onto the Ethereum blockchain, which is always good to see, just an improvement of technology there. And some people are actually allowed to stake a portion of their Ethereum onto this Beacon chain, which is always good to see as well, because we're kind of a pro staking podcast here, if that makes sense. And also, there's they have two different consensus models, pretty much. So the mainnet is proof of work, and the Beacon chain is proof of stake, just like I mentioned earlier. And they're all kind of wrapped up into one. And before I get into the deep, heavy definitions of what Ethereum 2.0 is looking to do, is pretty much they want the Ethereum Foundation is looking to move the mainnet, which is the proof of work model, into more of the Beacon chain, which is the proof of stake.
So, for our listeners at home, what is a consensus model? What's kind of the definition of it?
A consensus model is pretty much how transactions are verified, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, consensus model is pretty much related to staking, because staking is a consensus model where all the different nodes form one consensus and agree that the transaction is valid, where a proof of work model, where you use miners, is called a execution layer, because the miners are like pretty much physically working to solve the blockchain problem, if that makes sense, and solve the transaction to put it on the blockchain.
Okay, so it's kind of just like everyone agreeing on everything, that something happened, sort of.
Yes, exactly. Like I mentioned earlier, there's two different types of models: the proof of work, which is execution, and proof of stake, which is consensus. I may have messed that up earlier, but that's the true understanding.
Okay. So what does the Ethereum 2.0, what does their consensus layer aim to do?
So pretty much Ethereum 2.0, like I said earlier, their whole goal is to make Ethereum 100% proof of stake. And they also want to have a more reliable Ethereum blockchain, because sometimes with miners, it can be taken advantage of with those miners instead of a proof of stake model, which can be more spread out. And also on the fact that it will be a staking model or a proof of stake blockchain, it's going to be more community centered, because everyone that owns ETH is going to be able to stake their Ethereum. And also using the proof of stake blockchain kind of technology, this is gonna make Ethereum more scalable and to be able to support more transactions and just like volume in general. Like, as you see many proof of stake blockchains like Cardano or Solana, you see that they're able to do a lot more transactions per second than Ethereum. So it just kind of goes to show that kind of staking's the future with cryptocurrency. And also, with that, it's going to increase security with having more and more nodes spread across the world. Pretty much, it's gonna create more they're planning to make more decentralization, since more and more nodes will be able to kind of verify transactions on their own. Not really on their own, but as a group. Kind of as a group, but separate, if that makes sense. There's going to be a bunch of stake pools, and there's going to be probably 10 times the amount of stake pools as there are miners, if I had to kind of take a bet on that. And also, the backbone of the majority of the crypto ecosystem is Ethereum. Like, if you want to use any type of decentralized exchange, you're almost kind of forced to buy Ethereum just kind of to start out, and because that's the main token everyone accepts. I mean, obviously besides Bitcoin and other coins in the top 10, but like ETH, like if you have ETH, everyone kind of wants ETH, if that makes sense. And also with this proof of stake model, like I mentioned earlier, they're going to try to make the blockchain as fast as possible, just to kind of compete and just to be able to scale. Because the faster the Ethereum blockchain can do transactions, the more and more transactions they can support, which will increase the size of the people that use Ethereum. And also, they want to increase the value of the asset by making Ethereum proof of stake. So pretty much right now, Ethereum, if anyone has any type of economics background, Ethereum is currently a commodity, which means it's pretty much just used to pay for gas fees. I mean, obviously you can buy and trade and buy NFTs with it, but when Ethereum becomes a income producing asset, like staking, you're earning money on your Ethereum, then it becomes an asset. Like, it obviously is still an asset, but then it becomes a source of income, if that makes sense. And also, yeah, that's pretty much what the entire kind of Ethereum 2.0 consensus layer is aiming to do.
So when we're talking about Ethereum 2.0, is it sort of like an update from the first one, or is it a completely separate, like, new coin?
Yeah, so that's actually a perfect question, because so many people don't really understand. They just think, since obviously 2.0, when everyone sees 2.0, they're like, oh my god, that's brand new. This is a completely different thing, but that's not the case. So, even though the title of this episode is going to be "What is Ethereum 2.0?" Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum and the Ethereum Foundation, has actually killed the term Ethereum 2.0 because there has been so much confusion with the fact that it's just an update. And that's why for the rest of this episode, I'm going to try to call Ethereum 2.0 the consensus layer, just because it's kind of the main or real definition. In the definition you will hear, like, moving on in the future. So, pretty much just to get back to your question, there's multiple parts of the consensus layer, which is an update. It is still the exact same Ethereum. You will still use the exact same token. You will not have to switch your tokens over to the new Ethereum token. There's no kind of worry about that. Your tokens are completely safe. But to understand the consensus layer, you have to understand there's 3 different phases of the consensus layer that the Ethereum Foundation is aiming to solve. And currently, we are in phase 0, which is the beacon chain. The beacon chain came out in December 2020, and it's pretty brand new. So you kind of have to understand that they're still working everything out. That's why I also believe that we'll get into our predictions on when the consensus layer will come out, but that's kind of later in the episode when everyone gets a full understanding of the beacon chain. And also we kind of explain what the beacon chain is a little bit earlier, but pretty much just transferring Ethereum slowly to a proof of stake model where more and more people are staking their Ethereum, and as they kind of push the miners out, if that makes sense. And To move on from phase 0, like I said, there's 3 phases of the consensus layer. Then there is phase 1. So phase 1 is called the sharding chain. Chain. And yes, that's sharding with a D, not a T. If that makes D as in dog. So when I first heard this, I got very confused because I was like, never heard of a shard before. What is this? What's going on? So that's why I kind of just kept digging. Like, especially with crypto, once you find a new topic, you just kind of keep digging again. It's like
you can go forever.
You just keep going. It's legit a rabbit hole, but it's kind of a really popular and good rabbit hole to get into. But for a basic definition of what is sharding is a database partitioning technique used by blockchain companies with the purpose of scalability, enabling them to process more transactions per second. And to kind of get a better understanding of that is like people don't understand like how it helps the blockchain. And pretty much sharding splits a blockchain's like entire company network into smaller portions, pretty much. And each portion is known as a shard. And each shard consists of its own data, making it distinctive and independent when compared to other shards. So as a simple, basic, average Joe definition, I said that the blockchain is, or pretty much when blockchains are sharded, if that makes sense, the blockchain is split up into shards so that a lot more transactions can happen on each separate shard. So pretty much if there's only, what I understand from what sharding is imagine you have the Ethereum blockchain and it's a one-way door. There's only one door to the blockchain. Transactions go in, transactions go out. There's only one door. And what I believe is that now, imagine that one big door is split into 10 smaller doors. Now more and more transactions can be opened and closed, if that makes sense.
So it's kind of like a highway. Like you're adding the more shards or the more lanes, and so that traffic can flow a lot faster.
It's say you're doing like a group project in school, and instead of all 5 people in your group working on the same section, you're splitting up each section of the project to one person, if that makes sense.
But they're kind of all doing the same task, or are they
very similar? Yes, very similar. Yes.
So they're not like splitting the transaction or whatever into.
This is why it's so complicated to, even for like the people that are developing the consensus layer, to get like completely right and correct. It's because with sharding, obviously it's complicated to pretty much make the Ethereum blockchain into separate, smaller parts of the blockchain so it can pretty much just go fast. So shards, when they're left alone, they're more vulnerable, if that makes sense. Obviously, it's like when they're all together in one Ethereum chain, when they're all together, they're harder to hack. But when they kind of go on their own, it's kind of like strength in numbers, if that makes sense. So just think of it, sharding, as a good thing for speed and scalability, but not as good for security. But obviously, I believe in the Ethereum future, and I'm sure Alex does as well. And especially with sharding, yes, this is why it's taking so ungodly long for the consensus layer to come out, is because they want everything to get perfect. And so you just gotta be patient with it. Sharding's a good thing, even though like I literally did like maybe 6 hours of research on this topic, and I still don't have a full perfect understanding of what sharding is. But just kind of understand sharding, the blockchain split up into multiple separate parts, but they're all working to reach the same goal, but they're all working independently.
Okay, yeah, that makes that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's kind of like I went on my soapbox there for a little bit, but I tried to give a basic definition of what it really is. But for anyone to understand what the pros and cons are of the sharding process, sharding, kind of some pros are, sharding can help reduce the latency or slowness of a network, since it splits the blockchain into separate shards, obviously. However, there are some security concerns surrounding sharding in which shards can be intact. Just like I mentioned earlier, they're not as strong when they're separated, but when you give up security, you're gaining speed and scalability. So yeah, and also, how can we just another reason for our viewers to understand what sharding is like, if we think of a blockchain as a shared database, and as more and more data is added to that database, the network needs to find new ways to process it all. And when kind of like the blockchain's just divvying out the data to these shards that can help everything go smoothly.
Okay. Do you think that sharding will help Ethereum become faster than Solana? Or do you think Solana's way is a lot faster and will always be on top?
This is a very, very hard question, because obviously no one knows the future, and I don't know anyone personally that's working on the Ethereum blockchain or working on the Solana development. But the thing is, especially like sharding, yes, will help. Sharding will obviously help. The new consensus layer will make Ethereum faster, and but the thing is, you have to understand what I did the majority of my research on. My research showed that how Ethereum will get faster is the reliance on their layer 2 protocols. And those are stuff like Polygon, the Matic token, stuff like that. And this is obviously not financial advice like Alex mentioned earlier, but I have personally invested into Polygon in the past few days because after doing this research, I understood that there's the layer 2s are so important to this scalability and increase in speed of Ethereum. And pretty much to make ETH faster, you obviously have to make it proof of stake, which they're currently working on and implementing. But also, the layer 2 blockchains will have a huge factor on the increase of processing speeds, because they take so much inflow of data, and they're able to kind of just take off the workload from the Ethereum blockchain. Also, the blockchains that are built on top of Ethereum just pretty much makes Ethereum move faster, if that makes sense. And it's kind of they're the layer 2 scaling solutions. They use ZK rollups, which are pretty much data rollups, just to kind of process transactions faster. And 2 examples of something that will help improve both Ethereum gas fees and the Ethereum speed is Loopring or Polygon. Those are 2 cryptocurrencies that work to do that.
Do you think other kind of crypto coins will pick up sharding like Ethereum has?
So we've obviously seen a lot of success with other blockchains like Cardano or Binance Coin or Solana. And obviously, for any other company to even consider picking up the same technology like sharding, they're obviously going to have to see Ethereum do it successfully. So I believe that sharding, obviously, it will be a thing in the future if Ethereum does everything completely right. But Ethereum has to be the main mover. If Ethereum does not successfully do sharding, we won't see it implemented in many blockchains, because if the kind of cryptocurrency community doesn't believe that Ethereum can get it done, I don't think anyone else can, really.
True. So because they want to get it right, that's why they're taking it so long?
Exactly.
That's okay.
I'll just get into it right now, just to explain explain my personal opinion on when I think we will see the consensus model. And pretty much, there's obviously no set date, and the Ethereum Foundation is doing this on purpose, so they don't have to meet any certain deadlines, because there's always going to be new things that there's new blockades. Obviously, or new blockades they're constantly running into. But the date is connected to this thing called the Arrow Glacier update, and it got pushed back. And pretty much, the Arrow Glacier update makes updating the blockchain very, very hard. But the thing about the Arrow Glacier update is that its plan is to make mining worthless, if that makes sense. Their plan is to make Ethereum mining worthless, so it forces the blockchain to become proof of stake, and it pretty much they get closer to that complete proof of stake model.
And no more proof of work.
Yes. Now, I don't think I believe personally in the future almost everything will be proof of stake, and the only thing still mined will be Bitcoin.
Yeah,
especially in the top 10, maybe top 20 coins. There's no point for it anymore.
Yeah.
And
if most of the
go ahead.
time when you're mining, you're just mining Bitcoin and then converting it over into another coin anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if the blockchain was able to be edited, it would have been moved to proof of stake. I mean, there's companies spending billions of dollars on this technology to mine Bitcoin, and obviously they're making money because they are receiving Bitcoin because they're mining it. But it's just so labor intensive. It uses way too much power. It's not exactly great for the environment, and it's 10 times harder than staking will ever be. So obviously, I'm very bullish on staking. I guess you could say I'm biased because I personally stake. Maybe my opinion would be different if I had a GPU miner sitting right next to me right now, and I'd probably have a lot more money if I had a GPU miner right next to me right now. But obviously, I think staking is so easy for anyone in the community to do it. It's just the future. That's like what decentralization is. It's just allowing everyone to be a part of the blockchain, pretty much.
Yeah, I always think that there'll still be miners just because there's people who have put millions of dollars into it, and they're making millions and millions of dollars back. So I think there'll always be some proof of work.
I'm with you.
Completely disappear, but I mean, proof of stake will definitely be up top.
Yeah. And to kind of continue on our proof of stake kind of talk. So, as I was doing research, I saw a lot of people ask, where can I stake my Ethereum on the consensus model? What can I do? I want to join the blockchain. I want to help the Ethereum Foundation ASAP. Like, what can I do? And pretty much, when the consensus model fully comes out, yes, everyone will be able to stake their Ethereum, just like everyone's able to stake their Cardano or Solana right now. So pretty much, what everyone in the community is assuming is that you will have to lock up your Ethereum a lot longer than any other crypto, and you will also earn rewards on your Ethereum, just like any other coin that you stake. Also, this is a great way to support the Ethereum Foundation and support the Ethereum blockchain by staking your crypto and adding it to the blockchain, obviously. And right now, only certain developers that I know of can stake their ETH. And from what I know is it's really hard to get into Ethereum stake pool because they're so small. You have to pretty much, I guess, have connections and have a huge ETH wallet. I think I was listening to a podcast about trying to get a better understanding of this, and I think maybe one of the minimum amount to have to stake is maybe like 1,000 ETH. So it's obviously it's not it's not exactly a common man's game right now, but obviously we are months, maybe a year out from being fully integrated from the consensus model, so that will obviously drop as we get closer to the final consensus layer kind of set, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So when the consensus layer finally drops, do you think that there'll be a problem with so many people staking their Ethereum, or will it not affect them?
That's that's actually a really unique question. I've actually never been thought about that, but you
Because
never
I feel like
when
they'll kind of get overloaded.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously a possibility, but the thing is, people are still gonna want to buy and sell Ethereum, so they can't lock up their tokens. If you want to be able to, uh, just buy an NFT or buy anything with Ethereum, you are not going to be able to lock up your or the Ethereum you're staking. And the thing about that, there's obviously people that don't like staking because they believe they'll make a greater return by kind of day trading crypto, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I don't really think it's going to be too much. Obviously, it's not going to roll out of the gates with no bullet holes. It'll be perfect. There'll obviously be some it will probably hiccups. Stumble it will have some hiccups, probably stumble a little bit. But the thing about staking is that it also helps stable prices, because when people lock up their Ethereum, they can't sell. Yeah, make it, and it so limits fluctuation. It just kind of exactly. But the thing is, when the Ethereum stake reward becomes an income for people, you will see days where a lot of people sell when around the stake reward comes through, if that makes sense. We see that with both Solana and Cardano, because there's a lot of big Cardano foundations that the only way they support the network is by staking maybe their millions of Cardano, and then once they get the reward, they sell everything they made and just keep the Cardano that they have in the system, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that is a possibility, but I believe just will just be better for everyone in the long run.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like it will definitely help out.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
No, I'm pretty much good on questions. You answered everything real well.
Oh, okay. That sounds pretty good to me. But before we kind of end up here, I kind of want to wrap everything up in a little bow. Just to kind of show my personal opinions on the Ethereum 2.0, aka consensus model. So pretty much, the consensus model will change crypto for the better, because when maybe upcoming cryptos or new cryptos to the market see that Ethereum's proof of stake, there's pretty much no reason for other cryptos to change to proof of work if they were even considering it. Also, if the consensus model successfully is implemented, I think this is when Ethereum has the possibility to flip Bitcoin for market cap. That's my personal opinion. If this goes right, that's what will make it. People talk about all the time, when's Ethereum gonna flip Bitcoin? It's gonna happen. Ethereum's gonna go to $15,000 coin and flip Bitcoin's market cap. And that's not gonna happen unless huge technology is changed, because Bitcoin's always gonna be digital gold, and people are going to buy that because for the same reason people buy gold. And Ethereum is pretty much kind of like the oil market, where it's kind of just used to process transactions and kind of move information from one place to another. And if this is done properly, technology will be pretty much perfect for where many companies will want to get in, and it will eventually flip Bitcoin. But obviously, I do not see the future. That is just my personal opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, for my opinion, I feel like when it first comes out, it's obviously not going to be perfect. And then people are going to get real mad that it's not going to be perfect, and they're going to sell or whatever. But then when they find Ethereum or consensus layer finally gets going, I feel like it's going to cause a lot of people to also move to Solana, because they've figured out the technology and they understand the technology. And then it's just going to cause Solana to go up, including Ethereum, obviously. And then you'll see a big rise in those two coins.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be good for the entire market.
Yeah.
But also, I would not say, there's obviously not a certain date, so there's not on our calendars where buy ETH here because ETH 2.0 or the consensus model is coming out the next day or whatever. You can't really do that right now. But in my opinion, there is going to be something. I've saw this all over the internet while I was doing research, and there's most likely going to be something called buying the rumor, selling the news. And pretty much this is an important topic in both the stock and crypto market where people buy up hype. Like, say, for example, I'll use a stock as a kind of example because it's easier to explain. Say a company is, there's rumors about the company coming out with a new product and how it's going to change the world and everything, and people start buying that stock because there's a rumor. There's no actual news. But then news comes out and says, like a news article will come out where it's verified, or the company will announce the product has come out and now everything's going to be great. The stock will tank because everyone bought the rumor already, and now they understand what fully has come out, and maybe it has beat expectations, maybe it has not, and people are like, okay, I've already made money because I bought the rumor, sell. Because it's already came out, because there's no hype anymore, because it's already, if that makes sense. That example kind of sucked, but hopefully that made some sense.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
So, yeah, guys, obviously, do you have anything else to say before we start heading out? So, obviously, I enjoyed doing a bunch of research on the consensus model of Ethereum, aka Ethereum 2.0, even though Ethereum 2.0 is no longer a thing. And obviously, this is what we're here to do. When I do research to teach myself and come on the podcast and talk to you all, we teach each other by teaching you. And that's what we do here. Everyone wins. It's a win-win-win-win-win. And hopefully I can say win 1,000 times because there's 1,000 viewers. That would be sick. But anyway, Alex and I appreciate everything that our community has given us. We are completely appreciative of everything, especially like the listens and shares and
it's been awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Like, tell your mom about the podcast. We'll appreciate it. Tell your sister, brother. I don't know. Let your dog listen. I don't know. Maybe your dog wants to invest in some internet money. You never know. Yeah, guys. If you want to follow us on Instagram, go give us a follow. It's at NFT_nation_podcast. We would, if you want to DM us and shout us out, we would love to do that. We're doing a kind of promotion right now where if you shout us out, we'll give you a follow and shout you out as well. It's kind of another win-win situation. And yeah, guys, we appreciate everything. We appreciate all the audience at home, and hope you have a great day.
Thanks for listening, guys.